Hey guys, Danny Johnson here, and today we're going to be talking about my '01 Mustang GT that I had and then had to get rid of and finally got back. And I have a whole playlist on this that I'll put in the video description if you want to follow the build of the car, the story of the car, everything like that. But I went with just an SVT, and I thought it'd be fun to visit all the places around town that were significant with this car. And so here's spot number one. This is where I actually picked the car up. I remember seeing the GT badge and feeling the spoiler. That Oxford white had just that thick paint to it, and I just loved everything about it. And at this time I only had a 150 horsepower V6 Mustang that I had from high school, so this was quite a muscle car to me. It had the V8 sound. It had parchment interior, but a 5-speed, and I didn't know exactly how I felt about the brown, but I do like the 99 to 04 brown parchment. It's a nice color. Big hood scoop on the front, and it didn't have the bullet wheels yet. I'd put those on later. But I had a nice lucky sweater that was kind of matching the brown in the car, and so I didn't mind the interior being brown. Black is what I preferred. But here's where I was. This was number 38, our first apartment. So my wife and I were here, and we would park the GT here under this awning, and I would get really close to the pole and hopes that nobody else would get close to the pole and kind of park far away. And so I was under the awning here most of the time. That somewhat protected the car, and being Oxford white didn't fade much or anything like that. So next stop, AutoZone. I remember this car was having some issues. It had about 85,000 miles on it when I bought it, and it was giving me issues with the coil packs. They were misfiring, and I was trying to figure that out and diagnose it. So I spent some time here at AutoZone with the hood up at night trying to figure it out, and I was still driving the car daily, so I couldn't just have the car down. In the meantime, I had to figure it out and keep driving it. So just remembered being at AutoZone and trying to figure out what I could buy, because it was completely stock, exhaust, everything. So I was browsing the aisles for mufflers and different things like that, and just wanting the car to run smooth. And so anyway, I eventually would tear the intake manifold apart to fix that gasket. That's a common problem on the 2-valve. You may know about that. And it was double gasketed, where they put a new intake manifold on that had different sealing process under each port. And so the Ford had actually they left the strip gasket there and then put the new intake manifold on, so it was double gasketed. But anyway, that was kind of a nightmare to figure out. And here, this is really sad. This is where I had to park the car for sale. I backed it in just like this and had for sale written on the back window. And so that was a really hard time to have to get rid of the car and park it here on a busy street, and drop the car off and reluctantly come and get it. And the whole time it was for sale, I was not having fun. We sold it to my neighbor, and they worked here. This is our next stop, and I would come, my wife worked in the same apartment or building complex, and so we would come and I'd see the car, and they tinted the windows jet black, and it looked great. And they were talking about all the mods they were going to do to it. And so this spot is special to me, because I remember coming here and seeing the car but not being able to do anything. Next, this is a dealership where the car later became for sale, and so I remember test driving the car here from this location and still not being able to buy it back. And so that was kind of hard to see it again, to have the opportunity to get it again and not be able to do anything, and just listen to the V8, because I was back to driving my V6 Mustang that we still had, and that kind of thing. The next owner, guy who got it, reminded me on Christine. If you've ever seen Christine, the brother of the owner of Christine gets the car when the brother dies, and he's selling it, and that's when Arnie picks it up. And so the guy who had this car next reminded me a lot of him. He was kind of grungy, and anyway, I'll just show you a shot here of where the car was. And so Justin SVT and I found the car for sale here, and the guy came out, and he was kind of scary looking, and it was just like dealing with Christine. We were trying to get the car. I really wanted it, but couldn't have it. And Justin and SVT had his bullet, and so we were trying to negotiate, and I looked in the window and saw the GT tag there on the coin delete, so I knew it was my car for sure. I'd seen things about it, and the fog lights and the dent in the side, but I remember negotiating with him, and we're waiting for him to tell us the price, and he kind of thinks and says, how about $4,100? And that was actually a good deal. I sold it for $95 a few years earlier. So we test drove it. I took it back home, but still it just wasn't going to work out. And so anyway, from there we saw another owner who got it, and here it is parked at the high school. This is an actual picture of it at the college. And I went and put this note on it saying, hey, this is my old car. If you think about selling it, let me know. I can help you fix it if it breaks, that kind of thing. And so here's a picture of it the day up top where I left that note, and then here's a recreation of when I got the car back in that same spot. And here's a quick video from our little tour the other day and in the same parking lot. You can see there were no spaces available because college is in session, but it's fun to come back and be here with a car now in my possession and really enjoying it. This is the picture of the car when I had found where it was parked for sale right before it got flooded. And then here's a shot out of the Facebook video that my wife showed me where it actually showed the car getting flooded by some random family who was just videotaping the flood happen in our, on Facebook, and we found the video. And so we went back the next day, and here it was. It looked like it weathered the storm okay, and it drove around after that, so we didn't think much of it. And then I got this picture from a friend saying that his tow truck driver friend was taking it down to the auction. So the story from there, I went down to the auction, followed it down there, picked the car back up, and you can follow that whole story in the link in the video description. But they came with the big forklift and put the car back down. I was so happy to get it back, and I took it back to that spot. And so here it is. You can still see all the debris in the road from the flood. So, it wasn't too long ago. It was within a month or two. But I brought the car back to where it was now, having it. So I was so excited to have it back, and just really enjoyed having the car again. It was a miracle to get it back. From there, I tore into the car pretty good. I started replacing everything that was wrong with it. It had some dented up fenders and doors and everything, so my garage looked like a junk pile on the inside with all these extra parts floating around. And some of the parts I got were actually crystal white, so they didn't quite work, and I ended up getting other parts. And so with all that, I changed out the door and the fender and everything with an Oxford white car. And then I had all these extra parts laying around, so being that it was near Halloween, I made a cool little crash scene. And a funny story about this is some neighborhood kids were quite upset and thought that the car had been wrecked. And so I met one of them, and I said, no, I still have the car. These are just extra parts. And so that was kind of funny. But anyway, I worked real hard to get all the gaps lined up properly in the door and everything, and work on the body panels. I put brand new carpet in it, which is really nice, a really nice touch to have, and also new floor mats. And so really nice interior right now. The car's coming together pretty well and still needs a few things. Also went and got a brand new steering wheel, so I used a puller to get the old one off and put a new one in. But anyway, I'm really enjoying the car right now, and it's a great car. I drive it to work every day, and it's very reliable. I found out that it has a 03 or 04 GT engine in it, so that had happened since I'd owned the car. But anyway, great car. Has the Borla stingers and the Off-Road X on it right now. Sounds really good. And so just really enjoyed this and wanted to share some fun memories with you guys of getting the car back and taking it to some of the places that were important. So anyway, if you liked the video, please give it a like. And if you're new here, please subscribe. Lucky to have you guys as following the channel. And go ahead and put in the comments what you think. Thanks, guys.